All right, let's talk about building the life you actually want. We hear all the time about setting goals, right? But what if I told you the secret is to stop thinking like a goal setter and start thinking like an architect? We're not just making a wish list, we're designing the very structure of our lives, and we're going to build it to last. You know that feeling, don't you? Where you're just kind of drifting. It hits hard around New Year's when we dream up all these amazing new habits. We tell ourselves, this is the year. But then, life happens. That fire fades, and before you know it, you're right back to float. And this cycle, it's so frustrating and it's so incredibly common. You've got the vision, you've got the goal, but something just keeps snapping you back into place. So, the big question we're tackling in this explainer is why? Why does that happen? And how do we finally build a system that breaks that loop for good? This quote from Carl Jung, it absolutely nails it. See, the whole thing is a mind game. We think we're in a battle against our willpower, but what we're actually fighting is our own unconscious programming. So the first step to winning isn't to just try harder. No, it's to finally understand the rules of the game that's being played inside your own head. So let's start by looking at the foundation we're currently building on. Because for a lot of us, if we're being honest, it's pretty shaky. It's unstable. It's almost like it was designed to fail from the get-go. And any good architect knows you have to understand the weak spots first. There's actually a scientific name for that feeling of being totally and utterly stuck. It's called learned helplessness. What it means is that after you fail over and over again, your brain learns a really devastating lesson. Hey, nothing I do seems to matter. It's so important to realize this isn't about being lazy. It's a conditioned response that literally makes us stop trying, even when we could actually succeed. And this right here, this is where most of our plans just fall apart. We expect our progress to be this nice, neat upward line, but the reality is there's always this dip. It's called the valley of disappointment, where it feels like all your effort is for nothing. It's in this gap between what we expect and what's really happening that our brain screams, "See, I told you it wasn't working," and we quit. Okay, so if the foundation is broken, how in the world do we fix it? Well, we start from the inside out. See, every great building starts with a blueprint. And for us, that blueprint, it's our identity. This is where we stop losing and start winning that inner game. So here's the massive mistake that nearly all of us make. We start at the wrong end of this pyramid. We focus on the outcome. I want to lose 20 pounds. But real, lasting change, it starts at the bottom, with your identity, with what you believe about yourself. When you change that core belief, the right actions and the right results, they start to follow almost automatically. Just look at the power in this tiny shift of language. I want to write a book is a project. It has an end. And when it's over, what are you? But I want to become a writer. That's an identity. A writer writes. So every single time you sit down at the keyboard, you're not just chipping away at a task. You are casting a vote for who you are. And this just sums it all up, doesn't it? You can't achieve something if deep down your identity says, that's not for people like me. You have to first become the person for whom that success feels natural, feels believable. Your identity is literally the permission slip for everything you want to do. Okay, so we got our inner blueprint locked in, we've decided on our new identity. Now it's time to get practical and draft the external master plan. This is where we turn that who into a strategic how. People love to argue about this. Is it about goals or systems? But that's a false choice. You need both. They work together. Think of it this way. Your goal is the city you want to drive to. It gives you a clear direction, a destination. But your system, that's the car. That's the engine, the gas in the tank, the map. The system is what actually moves you forward every single day. A good architect has to know their building materials inside and out. And in this case, you are the building material. This SWOT analysis, it's not some boring business school exercise. It's about strategic self-awareness, getting real about what you're good at, what you're not so good at, and what could help or hurt you along the way. This lets you build a plan that's actually for you, not some generic person. Now, this is a really cool technique. It's called a pre-mortem. Instead of waiting for things to go wrong and then figuring out what happened, you do it in reverse. You imagine your plan has already failed, just spectacularly crashed and burned. Then you ask why. By imagining the disaster before it happens, you can spot all the hidden weak points and fix them from the start. And just to get your brain moving on that pre-mortem, here are some of the usual suspects. Did you get burned out? Did you get bored with the day-to-day grind? Did you just get stuck overthinking everything? Thinking through these potential landmines now lets you build defenses into your system before you even start. All right, we have our grand master plan. Now it's time to zoom all the way in. We're talking about the individual bricks, because a huge, inspiring vision isn't built with giant leaps. It's built brick by brick with small, consistent, daily actions. These are the real building blocks of your new life. The math on this it's mind-blowing. Getting just 1% better each day doesn't feel like much. In fact, it's so small you probably won't notice it at first. Hey, sound familiar? It's the valley of disappointment again. But the compounding effect over a year is absolutely massive. You don't need heroic effort. You need tiny, daily, smart consistency. So what's driving all this? Underneath every single one of our behaviors, good or bad, is this simple little engine. It's a 4-step loop. There's a cue that triggers a craving, which leads to a response, the habit itself, which then delivers a reward. That's it. If you want to build good habits or break bad ones, you just have to learn how to play with this loop. One of the easiest ways to do that is to realize that your environment is like an invisible hand shaping your choices all day long. So design it for success. You want to read more? Easy. Put a book on your pillow. Want to eat healthier? Put the fruit out on the counter and hide the cookies. Make the good habits easy and the bad habits hard. It's that simple. Now, this brings us to the quality of those actions. It's not just about doing the thing. It's about doing it with intense, unbroken focus. That's what we call deep work. It's the state where you're not just working, you're literally rewiring your brain. This is how you learn hard things fast and produce work that truly matters. No architect gets a building perfect on the first blueprint. It's impossible. So the final, and maybe the most critical skill, is the ability to inspect your work. See the flaws not as disasters, but as data, and adapt the design to make it stronger. This is such a huge reframe. We're taught to be terrified of failure. But what if failure is actually the most valuable thing we have? It's pure data. A mistake isn't a judgment on you. It is a perfectly tailored lesson telling you exactly what part of your system needs an upgrade. And that brings us to this critical mindset shift. The fixed mindset looks at a mistake and says, "See, I am a failure." It's a permanent stain on your identity. But the growth mindset, it looks at the same mistake and says, the system has a bug. It's not personal. It's a problem to be solved. And what do you do with a bug? You experiment, you tinker, and you fix it. So let's just end on this final powerful thought. This whole process of building a new life, it isn't just about adding new things. It's also about letting old things go. As you build these new systems and habits, your old identity, the one who is comfortable right where you were, it has to fade away. And yeah, that can feel scary, but it's what makes room for the new you to emerge. So the real question isn't just what you're going to achieve, it's who are you becoming along the way.